Rev up your engines. Okay, the lady just bought this Lexus. She had a pickup truck and she's kind of missing her old pickup. She wondered if she made a mistake buying this. I kind of doubt it, but she got it for $10,500, which is a really good price in this coronavirus pandemic craziness that's going around. It's all-wheel drive. It's an IS 250. Got the original wheels and everything, and it looks to be in very good shape. We're gonna check it all out with my machine, but first, the one problem she has, it's got those goofy self-leveling headlights. She can't get them to go higher. They're down too low. Took it to the Lexus dealer, and of course, they wanted like $1,400 to fix what's there. Not replace them, but fix it and reprogram it. So, basically, she can do what I do with my wife's Lexus. But you see, she's had these back ones replaced with the cool arrows on them. Those aren't stock. So I suggested, like my wife's car, change the front ones too. She said they can replace the two for $600. You get decent ones. They're non-adjusting. They don't follow the road as you turn the wheel. Well, this doesn't follow the road as you turn the wheels. They're pointed down. She can't see far enough. So really, why waste all that money where Lexus says they can fix it for $1,300? Went for $600. Not only you get ones that'll never do it again, which is a big deal, but they look better than these. They're fancier. There's nothing wrong with going aftermarket on plastic pieces. I did it on my wife's ES300, and she loves it. She says it looks so much better than the original one did. The halo lights inside it too with LEDs, and it was the same deal. I paid like $270 each for two of them, and she loves it. They've lasted. Don't waste your money on tech stuff when you really don't need it, and then follow you around stuff. Really, come on, when they get old, they all break, even a Lexus. And of course, if you have a BMW, and then you find out, oh, well, that's gonna be $6,000 to fix those, well, you're gonna go aftermarket. And there's nothing wrong with aftermarket. So let's check it out. She's like my wife, she's short, so I gotta move the seat back or I wouldn't even be able to fit in. Well, as we're looking, the leather's still in good shape. And as per usual, this is a Lexus made in Japan. Now you notice some noise. No, it doesn't have a hole in the back. She missed her pickup truck, so she souped up the exhaust. It sounds a whole lot better. Check under the hood, there. Now we can see things. It's a New York State car. So you're gonna see all the aluminum parts have corrosion on them. It doesn't mean anything. They're all gonna corrode, and you're gonna hear a little bit of valve clatter just from the age. Everything still works. You see all that stuff. We'll look underneath because it is a New York car. Under we go. There's no body rust, just superficial rust on the rest. It's still solid as can be. Even though this is a 2010, they really knew how to do the zinc undercoating and rust proofing. These things really don't rust. Even in New York State. No, this wasn't a minor accident she knows about, which shows why the paint is faded here a little. They didn't repaint it correctly, but you could re-clear coat that. So let's hook up the old scanner. We'll see what kind of shape. Did she get a deal? Did she get ripped off? Well, the scanner's gonna tell us. Do a little intelligent diagnosis. Interior's in immaculate shape. Nice black and white leather. Oh, it knows everything, so let's check it out. Gonna be checking all this stuff. Oh, everything's green. And while we're waiting, really, this is just a baby for a Lexus. It's only got 125,000 miles on it. And almost everything is green except for these two things. It'll probably be minor crap, but we'll look at it anyways. We'll look at the gateway. The AFS ECU communication style. And that's because it's got a problem with those stupid headlights that are supposed to follow. It's not working right. We're going to bypass that anyways and put just plain old headlights in it. Another code will always probably be there because it'll know the system's not working because it won't be hooked up anymore. But that's nothing. We knew that because they don't work. USB communication malfunction. It even says it here on the screen as we're checking it, that the USB box to check it, it's got a problem. You know, who cares? These systems are all backdated anyways. And this one is 12 years old. Let's face it, we all use our phones for driving. You can hook the phone up to this. The Google software that I use in my Pixel is infinitely better than the stuff that they put in any of the cars, especially that they did 12 years ago. Don't waste your money fixing that stuff. Don't even buy a car with it. Use your phone and connect it. I mean, they're all wireless nowadays. You already got a perfectly good phone that works as a device that's generally with Google more accurate than anybody else. Don't even worry about it. Other than that, everything is perfect. So let's kind of scan at the data too. I'll whip through to see if any of them aren't blue, meaning they're bad. All kinds of data. So we'll just whip through them. Everything's blue so far, but you're going to see there's an awful lot of information there. Blue, blue, blue. No misfires at all. Of course, it's a Lexus. It's not going to have any misfires. Everything's still blue. We're on the E's now. Here we go. Blue, 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 blue. Everything's blue. It's a Lexus. I've showed you stuff with Genesis where they show wear with 100,000. This says 125,000, and look at the data. Variable valve timing angle stuff, 0. It's perfect. It's not 0.12, it's 0. It's perfect. I challenge anyone to show me a Genesis with 125,000 miles and all this data is 0 perfect. I've never seen one because the cams, the variable valve timing systems wear. Lexus makes perfect systems. They last a really long time. Even though the top of the engine, the valve cover aluminum's all corroded looking, the 4 cams inside are working perfectly fine. So let's take it for a spin and see how it does. We'll start her up. And yeah, it sounds loud because she straight piped it, but I like it. And it's got the paddle shifters if you want. A bit close to the windshield wiper, so you notice they came on. I'm not used to it. You get on it, it really makes a nice sound, man. I can see why she misses her truck and took the exhaust mufflers and everything off. It really has a nice sound. And yes, it's a Lexus. It handles like a dream. These ISs have a very good suspension system. Now I gotta say, this woman knew what she was doing when she bought this used car. She watched my videos, did all the checks, and got a fantastic car. And for those of you who think women know nothing about cars, she knows quite a bit about cars, picking this thing out in the shape it is, and then she straight piped it. So, things are not always as they seem. And here's some bonus questions and answers. Dom87 says, my car overheated on Big Bear Mountain. I got an 04 Mitsubishi Galant. It runs fine. It overheated on Big Bear Mountain. I was in Lake Tahoe Mountains. It doesn't show the head gaskets blown. It runs fine otherwise. Now, I'm not in the mountains, not overheating. Is it the altitude? What could it be? Well, it could be a combination thing, but here is probably what it is. You're going up a big mountain, right? That's called loading. Your engine is totally loaded and it's an 04. So that thing is pushing 20 years old, right? You need all the cooling capacity you can get going up. I'd say, since you say you didn't lose any coolant, the head gasket's not blown, replace the radiator. You can get aftermarket ones made in China that work fine. A lot less than $200. If you look around, change it yourself, it's not that big of a deal. As they age, the plastic and aluminum radiators, they don't rust like the old ones. The aluminum doesn't rust, but aluminum corrodes. And it can corrode just as bad as other things rust. As it corrodes, the dissipation of heat by that radiator gets lower. It has a lower efficiency level. Sometimes they're down to as much as 50% less efficient. You're not going to notice it driving around normally because there's plenty of efficiency to spare. But when you're going up that hill and it's straining, it's going to make it overheat. Pray it's that simple. Now, if it isn't, it just means your engine's wearing out. I had a BSA motorcycle years ago that it ran fine driving around, but I took it to Toronto one time and I'm in stop and go traffic. That thing kept overheating and it'd stall out and I had to let it cool down. Mind you, it was a 20-something-year-old motorcycle at the time too. As long as I was going down the road, it's an air-cooled engine, it was fine, but in stop and go traffic, it would just overheat. And that didn't even have a radiator. It's because the engine was old and all worn out. And it can't take all that strain to stop and go with no wind blowing on it. In your case, you were loading it going uphill. Same thing. Replace the radiator. That should fix it. If it doesn't, it means your engine's so worn out. Just stay away from Big Bear Mountain. Chatch1968 says, I need a crankshaft position sensor on my 2000 Nissan Frontier. Could you tell me the easiest way? There is no easy way. Okay. Mechanics get paid about $420 labor doing that job. It is such a pain in the butt. It was such a bad design. You have to take so much crap off the engine to get to it. Now, if you want step by step, you can either subscribe to All Data DIY, it's 20-something bucks a year, or go to an AutoZone and often they'll print you out all the steps because they own All Data and they give that information to their customers. Buy the sensor from them and they can print you out exactly how to change it. But, like I say, it takes a professional mechanic 3 hours to do the job who knows what he's doing. It might take you all day. It is not an easy job. That's Nissan for you. They design stuff like crap. They make it so it takes forever to take everything apart to replace the parts, so then you go to the dealer. I have seen Nissans that you have to pull the intake manifold off the car just to change the spark plugs. Some of them you have to remove the turbo if it's a 4-cylinder turbo just to take the spark plugs out. They have a very bad engineering company that does not care about how hard it is to repair the cars. They just want to make them as cheap as possible. And then if they're really hard to fix, they figure, oh yeah, they'll go to the dealer and we'll make more money then. So my advice, don't buy a Nissan in the first place. You'll find that info. It's a job. It's going to take you a long time. I mean, it even takes a guy like me 3 hours to do it. It's a pain in the butt. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.